In a world where constant communication often equates to success, we are taught to speak up, voice our opinions, and be heard. However, what if true influence isn't found in how much we speak, but in how carefully we choose our words? What if the ability to say less could actually be the key to making a greater impact in both our personal and professional lives? This book challenges the common belief that more words lead to more or influence, offering a transformative perspective on communication. It's not about speaking less for the sake of silence, but about speaking with purpose, precision, and intentionality. The goal is to help you refine your ability to communicate effectively, ensuring that each word you say carries weight and contributes meaningfully to the conversation. As you move through the chapters ahead, you'll uncover practical strategies for mastering the art of speaking with impact. You'll learn how to control the urge to fill silence, how to choose your words strategically, and how to make a stronger impression in meetings, conversations, and emails. The insights shared here will empower you to express yourself more confidently, allowing you to communicate with clarity and influence without the need for excessive explanation or unnecessary elaboration. By the end of this journey, you'll understand that the true power of communication lies not in quantity, but in quality. When you master the art of speaking less, you'll find that the respect, attention, and influence you desire are not only attainable, they're within your grasp. This is a new approach to communication, one that focuses on what really matters and teaches you how to make every word count. Chapter 1: Why talking too much is weakness, not strength. Talking too much can often feel like the right thing to do. It gives the illusion of control, intelligence, and confidence, but the truth is excessive talking usually has the opposite effect. It can make you appear insecure, dilute the power of your words, and cause people to tune you out. Many of the most respected and influential individuals are those who speak with purpose, knowing that the fewer words they use, the more impact they have. Imagine being in a room where one person dominates the conversation, constantly sharing their thoughts without giving others a chance to speak. Over time, their words lose value and people start disengaging. On the other hand, when someone speaks rarely but with precision, people listen intently. Their words hold weight because they are not thrown around carelessly. The most effective communicators understand that power lies not in the quantity of words, but in their quality and delivery. Silence can be uncomfortable, but it is also one of the most powerful tools in communication. When used intentionally, it allows space for thought and encourages others to contribute. Many people fear silence and try to fill it with unnecessary words, thinking it will keep the conversation going. In reality, pausing before speaking makes you appear more confident and gives your words greater meaning. It shows that you are thoughtful, measured, and deliberate in your approach. There is an old saying that knowledge speaks, but wisdom listens. People who are truly knowledgeable do not feel the need to prove themselves by constantly talking. Instead, they listen, absorb information, and only speak when they have something valuable to add. This makes their words more impactful and increases their credibility. Those who talk excessively often reveal too much. Sometimes to their own disadvantage, they give away their thoughts, emotions, and strategies without realizing how much information they are exposing. Resisting the urge to talk too much requires self-discipline and awareness. One of the most effective ways to do this is by practicing active listening. When engaged in a conversation, focus on understanding what the other person is saying rather than thinking about what you will say next. This not only makes you a better communicator, but also earns you respect from others. People appreciate those who genuinely listen and respond thoughtfully rather than those who simply wait for their turn to speak. Another important aspect of speaking with impact is knowing when to stop. If you find yourself over-explaining or repeating points, take a step back. Effective communication is not about proving how much you know, but about delivering your message clearly and concisely. When you keep your words precise and to the point, you leave a lasting impression rather than overwhelming people with excessive details. Many successful leaders and influential figures are known for their ability to speak less and say more. They understand that by choosing their words carefully, they maintain control over their message and their presence. When you speak too much, you give away your power. When you speak with intention, you command attention and respect. The key to mastering this skill is to develop a strong sense of self-awareness and to recognize the moments when silence can be more powerful than speech. Confidence is often mistaken for talking a lot, but in reality, true confidence is knowing that your words carry weight. You do not need to dominate a conversation to make an impact. Instead, you need to ensure that when you do speak, people listen. This comes from a place of self-assurance, knowing that your voice matters and that silence can be just as influential as words. By embracing the power of saying less, you not only enhance your communication skills, but also cultivate a presence that others respect and admire. The challenge lies in breaking old habits and retraining yourself to be comfortable with strategic silence. It is a skill that takes time to develop, but offers immense benefits in personal and professional interactions. The more you practice speaking with purpose, the more natural it becomes. Soon you will notice how people start paying more attention when you speak, how your words become more memorable, and how your influence grows. The ability to say less and mean more is one of the most powerful tools you can develop. And it is within your reach. Chapter 2. Speak less, earn more. Respect. In every interaction, there's an invisible exchange taking place. It's not just about the words you speak, it's about how those words shape the way others see you. Too often people think that the more they talk, the more respect they will earn. They believe that if they can speak confidently, offer more ideas, and always have something to say, others will see them as powerful or important, but in reality it's the opposite. Talking too much can actually diminish the respect others have for you, while speaking less can increase it. In every conversation, your presence and the way you communicate speak volumes even more than the words you choose. People are naturally drawn to those who have the discipline to hold back and speak only when it truly matters. This doesn't mean remaining silent all the time. It means recognizing the value of every word and understanding that true strength lies not in the ability to talk, but in the ability to listen, observe, and speak with purpose. It's easy to be the one who fills the silence, who is always ready with an answer or an opinion, but in doing so we may miss an opportunity to be perceived as thoughtful, calm, and deliberate. The more you speak, the more you expose yourself, sometimes in ways that don't reflect your true intentions or capabilities. On the other hand, when you speak less and choose your words carefully, you show that you are in control, that you have mastered the art of communication, and in turn that you are someone who deserves respect. Think about the people you admire most. Chances are they aren't the ones who dominate every conversation with their own voice. They are the ones who listen intently, who wait for the right moment to speak, and when they do speak, their words carry weight. There's a depth to their presence. They don't need to say much because their words are always chosen with intention. This is the mark of someone who commands respect. Respect isn't earned by how loud you speak or how frequently you contribute. It's earned by how much you value the space around you, by how much you make others feel seen and heard, and by how you make your words count. When you give others the chance to express themselves, you're showing that you value their opinion. When you speak less, you create room for those around you to rise. People appreciate being listened to, and in turn they respect those who know how to listen. Imagine walking into a room full of people where one person is constantly talking, jumping from topic to topic, unable to stop themselves from filling every moment with their own voice. Now picture someone else in that room, someone who speaks only when they have something important to add, who carefully considers their words before speaking, and who doesn't feel the need to fill every silence. Which person do you gravitate toward? Which one do you trust more? The answer is clear. The person who speaks less is the one who stands out, who commands attention, and who earns respect. This isn't just a theory, it's something that can be seen in action every day. People who speak less and listen more are often the ones who lead with influence, who make decisions that carry weight, and whose opinions others value. Their words are seen as more precious because they aren't wasted. They don't speak just for the sake of speaking. When they do speak, it's with clarity and purpose, and this gives their words a kind of gravitas that others can't ignore. The person who talks too much, on the other hand, risks diluting their own message. When words are abundant, they lose their impact. Think about the last time someone spoke for an extended period without saying anything of real substance. You likely tuned out, didn't you? The more they talk, the less you listen. This happens because people inherently understand that words have value. When someone speaks too often, their words begin to lose that value. People start to assume that they're just filling the space, not contributing anything meaningful. This doesn't mean that silence is always the best option. There's a time to speak and a time to listen, and knowing the difference is key. The most respected individuals are the ones who know when to speak up and when to remain quiet. They don't feel the need to share their thoughts just because they have them. They understand that their silence often speaks louder than their words ever could. If you want to earn respect, start by speaking less. It's not about withholding your thoughts, it's about choosing the right moments to express them. When you speak, make it count. Think about the message you want to convey and ensure that it adds value to the conversation. This doesn't mean being overly calculated or guarded. It simply means having the awareness to recognize when your words will have the most impact. When you speak with this kind of intention, people will take you more seriously, and your words will resonate far more deeply than if you were to simply add to the noise. Take note of the people around you who are most respected. Observe how they communicate. They don't feel the need to dominate conversations, and they certainly don't engage in endless small talk. Instead, they know how to make their point with precision and confidence. They choose their words carefully, and as a result, people listen when they speak. Their words have power because they aren't thrown around carelessly. They have purpose. To build this kind of presence, practice pausing before you speak. Let the silence sit for a moment before you fill it with words. In doing so, you create space for your thoughts to settle and for the conversation to develop. This pause also signals to others that you are someone who thinks before speaking, someone who doesn't rush to fill the air with empty words. It's a simple habit that has a profound effect on the way people perceive you. When you pause, people start to listen more intently, waiting for the carefully considered words you're about to say. The next time you're in a conversation, challenge yourself to speak less. See how others respond when you don't immediately jump in with your opinion or try to steer the conversation in your direction. Observe how they engage with you. Chances are they'll start to value your input more because you've given them the space to speak and be heard. You're no longer just adding noise to the conversation. You're contributing something meaningful by speaking less and listening more. You start to transform the way you communicate. You stop trying to prove your worth with every word and instead start without letting your presence, your silence, and your thoughtful contributions earn the respect of those around you. People won't remember the many things you said, but they'll remember the few moments when your words truly mattered. People notice, they listen because they realize that what you say matters. It's important to understand that speaking less isn't about withholding information. It's about providing only what's necessary and relevant. You don't need to explain everything in exhaustive detail. Instead, focus on the essence of what you want to communicate. When you cut through the noise and get straight to the point, your message becomes clearer, and clarity is something people crave when they can quickly grasp the core of what you're saying. It allows them to process it, reflect on it, and remember it. Your message stays with them longer, and that's where the impact lies. One way to ensure your words land is to embrace the power of simplicity. Simplicity doesn't mean dumbing things down. It means refining your thoughts to their most essential form. Imagine you're holding a conversation with a friend. You're not speaking to impress them or to fill the space with chatter. Instead, you're engaging with them on a level where both of you can be present and understand each other fully. That's the kind of communication that sticks. If you can take complex ideas and distill them into a few straightforward sentences, your words will have far greater impact than if you were to ramble on, over-explained, or adding unnecessary qualifiers. It's about recognizing that less truly is more. When you strip away the excess, what remains is stronger. This applies not only to the content of what you say, but also to the way you say it. In a world filled with noise and distractions, brevity is a breath of fresh air. People are constantly bombarded with information from all sides. What they really need are messages that cut through that noise and offer them something valuable, a message that's succinct, relevant, and to the point, has the ability to stand out in ways that long-winded explanations simply cannot. In many cases, people listen more closely when they know you aren't going to waste their time. Think about it. When someone speaks to you for an extended period, how often do you find yourself zoning out or losing interest? It's human nature to drift when the message is long-winded, but if someone is able to express their thoughts concisely, you're more likely to tune in and pay attention. The efficiency of their communication commands respect. By learning how to say more in fewer words, you become a speaker who grabs attention, holds it, and delivers the message that matters. At the heart of speaking less but having greater impact is an understanding of your audience. Consider who you're speaking to and what they need from the conversation. Are you speaking to inform, to persuade, or simply to connect? The way you tailor your words will have a huge effect on how they're received. For example, if you're trying to persuade someone, you don't need to bombard them with every possible piece of information. Instead, focus on the key points that will influence their decision. When you're speaking to inform, make sure you're providing the most relevant facts, not overwhelming them with tangents. And when your goal is connection, keep your words personal and to the point, avoiding unnecessary fillers. This approach can also be incredibly effective in professional settings. Whether you're leading a team, presenting an idea to a client, or speaking in a meeting, your ability to communicate clearly and succinctly will set you apart. People respect leaders who can communicate their thoughts with precision without getting bogged down in unnecessary details. It shows confidence and authority when you're able to present your ideas in a straightforward, easy-to-understand manner. You position yourself as someone who knows what they're talking about and who values the time of others. This isn't just a skill for leaders, it's a skill for anyone who wants to make an impact in their personal and professional relationships. Furthermore, when you choose to say less, you also give yourself space to listen more. Often the most powerful communicators are those who spend as much time listening as they do speaking. Listening actively allows you to understand others more deeply, which in turn enables you to respond more thoughtfully. By being present in the conversation, you'll be better equipped to offer relevant insights, ask meaningful questions, and contribute in ways that are truly impactful. This balance between speaking and listening creates a dynamic that fosters trust and respect, which strengthens your connections with others. Being mindful of your speech also means choosing your timing wisely. Sometimes the best way to make an impact is not to say anything at all. There's power in silence. Pausing for a moment before you speak allows your words to have weight. It gives people time to absorb what you've said before moving on to the next point. Pausing can also serve as a signal that you have something important to say, which can draw people in and make them listen more closely. Timing your words in such a way that you're not speaking over someone else or interrupting the flow of a conversation can make your message feel more intentional and more appreciated. The same principle applies in written communication, whether it's a text message, an email, or a social media post. The power of brevity cannot be overstated in today's world where people are inundated with messages from every direction. A concise, well-crafted message stands out. You don't need to explain or over-elaborate. Be clear, be direct, and leave room for the other person to engage. When you give them the space to think, to respond, and to contribute, you're creating a more effective dialogue. Saying less doesn't mean saying nothing. It means being intentional with every word you choose. It's about recognizing that each word has value and should be used purposefully. When you speak less but say more, you show that you respect your audience, your time, and your message. You prove that you understand the power of language and you know how to wield it With precision, as you practice this skill, you'll find that your communication becomes stronger, more impactful, and more effective in all aspects of your life. The beauty of speaking less is that it gives you the power to leave a lasting impression, one that is thoughtful, meaningful, and most importantly heard. Chapter 11, The Power of Not Replying Immediately. There's something powerful about knowing when to stay quiet in a world where constant connectivity makes it almost impossible to go a few minutes without some form of response. It's easy to feel pressured to reply instantly, to react right away, but there's immense value in choosing not to speak immediately. When we pause before responding, we create space for clarity, thoughtfulness, and a deeper connection with the conversation at hand. In many situations, responding right away can lead to rushed answers or reactions driven by emotion rather than wisdom. How often do we wish we had taken a moment to consider our words carefully before saying something? We regret the instinct to answer immediately often comes from the desire to appear knowledgeable or to avoid an uncomfortable silence, but in truth that desire can undermine our ability to communicate effectively. The power of taking a moment to pause gives us the opportunity to calm our minds and think through our response before committing to it. It's a way to ensure that our words are well thought out, intentional, and in line with the message we wish to convey. This pause doesn't need to be long or awkward, but it's a powerful act of discipline. It's about training yourself to resist the knee-jerk urge to fill every silence. By not jumping in the moment someone finishes speaking, you show that you are actively listening, not just waiting for your turn to talk. You also give yourself the chance to respond from a place of clarity, not impulse. Silence allows you to process what was said, to gauge the tone of the conversation, and to choose your words with care. It prevents misunderstandings and helps you avoid unnecessary conflict. The habit of not replying immediately isn't just about holding back your words, it's about cultivating an awareness of the dynamics of a conversation. When you don't rush to speak, you give others the space to express themselves fully. Sometimes people don't need an immediate answer, they need to be heard. By allowing a moment of silence to linger, you invite deeper reflection both in yourself and in the person you're engaging with. This pause creates a space where more meaningful communication can take place, as it allows everyone involved to process and contribute thoughtfully. In difficult or emotionally charged conversations, the value of silence cannot be overstated. When emotions run high, it's easy for things to spiral out of control. Our minds race, and we feel the impulse to defend ourselves or react to what has been said, but responding immediately often exacerbates the situation. By taking a pause, you give yourself the chance to cool down, to put your emotions in check, and to approach the conversation with a clear mind. This moment of silence is not weakness, it's strength. It's an act of self-control, of maturity, and of emotional intelligence. Silence also gives the other person the opportunity to reflect. How often have we been caught in a conversation where we were rushing to get our point across, only to realize that we had missed an important detail or failed to consider the other person's perspective? When we don't reply right away, we allow the conversation to breathe, creating a space for greater understanding to emerge. Sometimes a pause gives the other person the time they need to reconsider their own words, to realize something they hadn't initially thought through, or to provide you with a deeper explanation that enriches the conversation. This idea of the powerful pause extends beyond direct conversation. In meetings, whether at work or in personal settings, the same principle applies. When a question or comment is directed at you, rather than immediately blurting out a response, take a moment to collect your thoughts. This simple act communicates a sense of confidence and control. It shows that you are not rushed, and that you're not speaking just for the sake of filling the space. Instead, you are pausing to consider how best to contribute to the discussion, ensuring your input is as meaningful and relevant. Silence can also serve as a powerful negotiation tool if you're in a situation where you need to make a decision or negotiate terms. Not replying immediately can shift the dynamic in your favor. When you take a moment to pause, you show that you are weighing the options, not just agreeing to whatever is presented. This can encourage the other party to reconsider their position, offer more favorable terms, or provide additional information that helps you make a more informed decision. In the world of negotiation, silence is often the strongest statement you can make. Of course, there's a balance to be struck. Silence for the sake of silence can lead to disengagement, making it harder to foster connections or to maintain the flow of a conversation. It's important to recognize when a pause has served its purpose, and when it's time to speak up. A well-timed response after a thoughtful pause has much more weight and impact than a hasty one. The key is to remain conscious of the rhythm of the conversation, to sense when your contribution is needed, and to have the discipline to wait for the right moment to speak. This principle also holds true in written communication. In today's digital age, where we're often expected to reply to email, texts, and messages instantly, the pressure to respond quickly is ever present. But just like in face-to-face communication, taking a moment to pause before replying can lead to better outcomes. Whether it's a tricky email at work or a message from a friend, giving yourself the space to think before responding allows you to compose a more thoughtful, measured Reply, it shows that you value the conversation and that you're not just reacting in haste. The same principle applies to social media. How many times have you seen a comment or post that if you'd responded immediately would have been reactive or overly emotional? By waiting and reflecting before hitting send, you avoid the regret of speaking in the heat of the moment. Taking time to pause also gives us the opportunity to manage our emotions. It's easy to get caught up in the intensity of a moment, but our ability to control our reactions speaks volumes about our maturity. Pausing helps us step back from a situation